Tonight on News Prime, President Tinubu makes key appointments. Business National Assembly to host national dialogue on budget reforms. London Internet on the foreign scene report reveals mixed governance outcomes in Sahel coup states. And in sports, grassroots football received major boost. Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Prime on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Jumai Manson. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. Now the news in full. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved a fresh round of high-level appointments, naming Senator Dr. Ibrahim Idia as chairman of the Corporate Affairs Commission and nominating 7 new federal commissioners for the National Population Commission, pending confirmation by the National Assembly. The move is aimed at strengthening key national institutions and closing existing vacancies. Dr. Ida, a seasoned administrator and former lawmaker who represented Katsina Central in the Senate, brings decades of experience spanning finance, public service, and governance. The president's nominees for the MPC drawn from Ekiti, Zamfara, Bauchi, Kwara, Katsina, Jigawa, and Sokoto states are expected to reinforce the Commission's mandate as Nigeria intensifies efforts towards credible population data management. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Tuggar, has resigned from his position to pursue his political ambition to run for governor of Bauchi State. The special advisor to the Minister on Media and Communications Strategy, Abdul Al-Qasim Abdul Kadri, had earlier confirmed Tuggar's intention to contest for the governorship seat of Bauchi State. Abdul Kadri said the minister is interested and aspires to run for the governorship seat of Bauchi State. Over now to the People's Democratic Party, PDP has elected its caretaker chairman, Abdurrahman Mohammed, and caretaker secretary, Samuel Ayong, as its national chairman and secretary at its 2026 elective national convention held in Abuja. Political correspondent Ubong Usoro tells us more.
Leaders have emerged from the National Convention of the People's Democratic Party held in Abuja. The convention witnessed a carnival-like turnout of delegates from across all the states of the Federation and the FCT. The newly convened national leader of the party, Nyesom Wike, in his speech called for reconciliation and asked those who have left the party to come back.
We overcame a tragic crisis of leadership, so huge that it threatened to destroy our beautiful party. Together we fought against proponents of ethnic and geographic division.
The vote was a voice vote of the consensus candidates whose names were called out by Sandy Ono, the chairman of the PDP election committee. After ratification and dissolution of the caretaker committee, Sandy Ono announced the elected leaders.
I, Senator Professor Sandy Ono, Chief Returning Officer for these elections, hereby declare all of those on the list elected by consensus.
In his acceptance speech, the newly elected chairman of the PDP, Abdurrahman Mohammed, called on those aggrieved to reach out to channels made available by the party for reconciliation and promised to work with all members of the party.
I stand before you today deeply humbled, profound gratefully, and fully conscious of the responsibility that comes with confidence you have collectively reposed in me.
A founding member of the party, Alhaji Sule Lamido, called on those aggrieved to withdraw all ongoing legal disputes and stop internal divisions within the party, adding that they should honor the legitimacy of the Abuja Convention. Ubong Usoro for Global Television News.
The national leader of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Nyesom Wike, has expressed concern over recent defections from the party, noting that such moves raise questions about commitment and leadership consistency. He urged affected members to reconsider their positions and return the party's ticket. Again, Ubong Usoro tells us more.
Speaking at the PDP National Convention in Abuja, Wike criticized defectors, saying their actions show a lack of integrity and commitment to party values.
Defection of some governors who have left have only shown you they lack the leadership traits. I liken them like the former presidential candidate of Labour Party. The presidential candidate of Labour Party before wanted to be president, and they gave him a platform, and that platform was Labour Party. When crisis came in Labour Party, it is that time it is required for him to show leadership. He ran away.
He specifically mentioned the Labour Party's 2023 presidential candidate, Peter Obi, describing him as a fleeting politician who moves from party to party in search of political tickets instead of building lasting unity. Speaking to Global Television, the PDP state chairman of Akwa Ibom, Ogun and Adamawa said the party is back on its winning ways and described the Abuja convention as a bridge builder.
Still very strong. Akwa Ibom is PDP. It has always been that since 1999.
PDP in Ogun State, I will tell you, PDP in Ogun State has never been as strong as it is now. Let me share this with you. Go back to records. See what we scored in 2023. We won that election.
Well, if you look at Adamawa, being a PDP state is very unique. And being unique, our expectation is to take over Nigeria come 2027.
They emphasized that true leadership is demonstrated through commitment, consistency, and ability to unite people for a common purpose. Ubong Usoro for Global Television News.
Overall, to the Independent National Electoral Commission has recognized the fraction of the National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party backed by the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike. The electoral body reflected the development on its official website on Monday, where it published the updated leadership of the opposition party. Those listed include Abdurrahman Mohammed as National Chairman and Samuel Anyanwu as National Secretary, alongside other members of the party's national leadership. The Tanimu Turaki-led fraction of the People's Democratic Party said that the National Convention of the Wike-backed fraction was conducted in contempt of the Court of Appeal judgment, where parties had entered appearances and agreed with the court on how to proceed with the matter. In a statement in Abuja signed by its National Publicity Secretary, Comrade Inienobong, the party also said that the convention was conducted despite being aware of an appeal filed before the Supreme Court challenging the Court of Appeal's judgment. It assured party members that the Supreme Court will soon adjudicate on the pending appeal. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, says it has already adjusted its operational plans to meet the new legal timeline ahead of the 2027 general election. INEC Chairman Professor Josh Amupiton stated this in Lagos at the opening of a 3-day capacity building workshop for the National Electoral Commissioners and senior management staff of the Commission. Represented by the National Commissioner, May Amamachu Amba, INEC Chairman said the Electoral Act amendment had reduced the mandatory notice of election period from 360 days to 300 days, thereby creating a compressed electoral calendar that required urgent institutional preparedness. Former Kano State Governor Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso has officially defected to the African Democratic Congress, ADC. Kwankwaso was received into the party by top-ranking members, including the national chairman David Mark. Correspondent Idris Jibrin reports.
The defection ceremony, which drew significant political attention, marks a major shift in Nigeria's evolving political landscape ahead of the 2027 general elections. Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, a former governor of Kano State and influential northern politician, says he joins the ADC amid ongoing realignment among opposition leaders seeking to strengthen their political base.
Let me also, on behalf of all of us, thank Almighty Allah for showing us this very historic day. The day when, with your permission, we decided collectively to join the ADC. I'm so happy today that I have collected my membership card. Advising all of you to go back and immediately register.
At the event, National Chairman of the party David Mark described Kwankwaso's entry into the party as a significant boost, expressing confidence that his experience and political structure would contribute to party's growth. Political analysts say the move could reshape alliances and influence voter dynamics in the coming electoral cycles. More reactions are expected in the coming days as stakeholders across party lines respond to this development. Those in attendance at the reception were former Anambra State Governor Peter Obi and former Sokoto State Governor Aminu Tambuwal, both of whom reaffirmed their commitment to building a stronger coalition within the ADC. From Kano, Idris Jibrin, Global Television News.
The Federal Capital Territory Police Command has officially flagged off activities marking the 2026 National Police Day with a strong display of community service in Area 1, Abuja. The exercise combined environmental sanitation with free medical outreach for residents. Kikeloma Okere has the details.
Officers of the Nigerian Police Force FCT Command took to the street in a coordinated cleanup operations aimed at restoring hygiene and order in the area. The operation drew attention as officers demonstrated a softer community-focused side of policing. Shortly after the sanitation exercise, the command rolled out a free medical outreach program offering basic health checks, consultations, and essential medical services to residents with special focus on vulnerable groups. Medical personnel attached to the initiative attended to dozens of residents addressing common health concerns and providing immediate care where necessary in a bid to promote public health awareness and early intervention. Residents of Area 1 turned out in large numbers, expressing appreciation for the initiative, describing it as timely and impactful. Many commended the police for stepping beyond traditional law enforcement roles to engage directly with community welfare. Commissioner of Police FCT Command says the initiative reflects its commitment to people-centered policing, community partnership, and proactive service delivery, noting that security is strengthened when trust exists between police and the public.
On the civil society and the civilians, so that they will know that we are part of them and we can also do what they are doing and we are ready to serve them. So that we can be more friendly and then we can be attractive to them.
Activities marking the 2026 National Police Day are expected to continue with more community-focused engagement across Federal Capital Territory in the coming days. Kikeloma Okere, Global Television News.
The fight against corruption is taking a new turn as stakeholders intensify efforts to empower young Nigerians through whistleblowing, transparency, and creative advocacy. The spokesperson of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Dele Adewale, says the fight against corruption cannot be left to the Commission alone. He made this known at the 2026 World Whistleblower Day Art and Media Competition to amplify youth voices in Abuja. Saadia Yakubu has the details.
The spokesperson of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Dele Adewale, stressed that whistleblowing remains a critical tool in the anti-corruption drive, calling for stronger youth involvement in promoting integrity and accountability. He further noted that, beyond creativity and talent, young people must be properly educated on the dangers of corruption and the importance of speaking up in the public interest.
The anti-corruption fight is not for the EFCC alone. It should be a pan-Nigerian fight. Every Nigerian should see himself or herself as a stakeholder in the fight against corruption. And we all know that whistleblowing is a potent, veritable means of bringing information to anti-corruption agencies, especially the EFCC. It's one of the mechanisms and framework where intelligence is gathered for us to be able to take some actionable steps in combating the issue of economic and financial crime in our country.
Stakeholders at the event emphasized that protecting whistleblowers is central to winning the war against corruption. They said the use of acts, media, will help young people promote integrity, encourage responsible reporting, and rebuild trust in public institutions. They therefore called on government institutions, policymakers, the media, and civil society to strengthen reporting systems, safeguard whistleblowers, and ensure accountability mechanisms work effectively for citizens.
The importance of transparency and accountability in governance, the risks whistleblowers face when they lack solid legal protection, and the urgent need for effective legal protection against retaliations.
PLAF was how do we encourage the next generation of young people to begin to understand their civic responsibility when it comes to disclosure and, of course, whistleblowing in their places of work. SWAP Nigeria is being supported by PLAF to ensure that young people not only understand what whistleblowing and whistleblower protection is, but are equipped to begin to take steps in their environment to actually, release or disclose any act of public corruption.
Stakeholders say the drive will further deepen civic responsibility and build a culture where speaking up against corruption is protected and encouraged. Saadia Yakubu for Global TV News.
You are watching the live broadcast of News Prime. News Prime continues after this weather forecast, plus business, foreign and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us.
Hello and nice to have you with us once more. We expect the month of March to end on a high note weather-wise, as we have increased prospects of rains across most parts of the country. We expect thunderstorms to affect the northeast up to Borno and Yobe, down into Gombe, Bauchi, and much of the central states, where we expect ample rains around the Federal Capital Territory, southern Kaduna, and parts of Kogi into the southwest. We also have prospects of thunderstorms to the southern part of the country, with ample rains expected over the coastal parts of the south and parts of its inland areas. Cases of flash flooding are not unlikely over parts of the south, parts of the central state, speaking of the Federal Capital Territory and its environs. This rain should bring maximum temperatures down a little, giving relief from the heat that's been on the ground. That's it from here. Thank you for watching, and see you again.
You're welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, this is News Prime on Global Television. Thank you for staying with us. In business now, the National Assembly has announced plans to hold a two-day national policy dialogue aimed at straightening Nigerians' planning and budgeting framework to drive sustainable economic growth and achieve $1 trillion economy target. Chairman of the House Committee on National Planning and Economic Development, Gboyega Isiaka, speaking on behalf of the Joint Senate-House Committee, said the dialogue will bring together key stakeholders from government and the private sector to rethink Nigeria's development strategy. Scheduled for April 14 to 15, 2026, the event will take place at the Bola Ahmed Tinubu International Conference Center in Abuja. The initiative is being organized in collaboration with the Office of the Vice President, the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of National Planning, and Budget Office of the Federation. On the front, in U.S., authorities say 2 pilots have been killed and dozens of people injured after an Air Canada plane collided with a fire truck on a runway at New York Airport. The crash halted flights at LaGuardia, a major transport hub, with the Bombardier jet left titled back into its tail. Its cockpit smashed next to the damaged emergency vehicle. Over on to Uyi Agbomufwegbe as it brings us more. We apologize, that report will be brought in a subsequent bulletin. A new report has revealed contrasting governance outcomes in Sahel countries following recent military coup. The study examines developments in Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, focusing on security, resource control, and development trajectories within the Alliance of Sahel states. Anete Patrick reports.
Comparative assessment of post-coup governance across the Sahel is painting a complex picture of progress, challenges, and shifting political realities. The report highlights how Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, now aligned under the Alliance of Sahel states, are pursuing a shared sovereignty-driven agenda, particularly in security and natural resources management. In Mali, authorities have emphasized strong nationalist rhetoric and resource control, but the report notes persistent fragility, especially in security and institutional stability. Burkina Faso, on the other hand, is showing signs of gradual stabilization with efforts to reclaim territory and reorganize governance structures amid ongoing insurgency threats.
At the end, we reach a conclusion that the stories that are coming outside of the Sahel that are saying that military rule has not improved anything are very problematic. Equally, the stories that are embellishing everything and saying that these are the messiahs.
In Niger, the study points to a delicate balance between militarization and human security, with governance challenges tied to weak state presence in rural areas and rising insecurity. Across the 3 countries, political systems have undergone major shifts, including the dissolution of political parties and increased centralization of power under military-led governments.
I think the reality we live in today is that Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger republics have all turned their back on democracy. They have all argued that the problems of poverty and dependence on external forces of their countries were there because of democracy.
The report also underscores growing regional tensions as relations between the Sahel bloc and neighboring coastal states continue to evolve amid security and economic pressures. Analysts say while the alliance signals a new geopolitical direction, long-term stability will depend on balancing security priorities with inclusive governance and economic development.
We also get to realize that if you were to speak to the ordinary man on the street and the person is going to be attending to you one-on-one, you then get to understand that life has not really been different in terms of the kind of talking of democracy dividends, development dividends as it is.
The report recommends stronger regional cooperation, institutional reforms, and sustain international engagements to address the deep-rooted challenges facing the Sahel. Aniette Patrick, reporting for Global TV News.
In sports stories now, Victor Osimhen has reportedly delayed his discharge from hospital following surgery, choosing instead to remain under medical supervision in a bid to speed up his recovery. The Galatasaray forward underwent an operation on his arm last week after sustaining an injury earlier in the month. Initial reports had indicated that he would be discharged the following day, but the plans was later changed at the player's request. According to the media, Osimhen personally asked club officials to allow him stay longer in the hospital so he could receive continued care and return to action as quickly as possible. Nigeria's grassroots football development is set to receive a major boost at the inaugural Sam Okoraji Foundation Under-16 Secondary School Football Championship kicks off on May 16th to the 26th, 2026. The tournament, organized in honor of the late Nigerian football icon Sam Okoraji, aims to discover young talents while promoting discipline, education, and patriotism among students. Global TV sports correspondent Samuel Odi reports.
The maiden edition of the championship is already generating excitement across secondary schools, with organizers emphasizing its role as a platform to nurture the next generation of Nigerian football stars. Officials says the competition will not only spotlight raw talent but also instill the values that define Sam Okoraji's legacy, dedication, resilience, and national pride. Speaking at the event, Director General of the National Institute of Sport, Philip Shaibu, highlighted the importance of structured grassroots program in building a sustainable sports ecosystem.
We in the NIS, we have created a curriculum for those of us that did not go to school. If you cannot read and write, now you can come to NIS, you'll be certificated.
The Director General of National Sports Commission, Bukola Olopade, reaffirmed the Commission's commitment to supporting grassroots football across the country.
I'm looking forward to the next Under-17 World Cup that will be hosted in Qatar. There is no way with this sort of competition that the old glory of Nigeria winning the Under-17 World Cup will not come back.
The convener, Osita Izunaso, highlighted the impact of Sam Okoraji on and off the field as he was very particular on education development. The tournament is expected to feature teams from various secondary schools across the country, with scouts and stakeholders watching closely for emerging stars.
The championship we are about to enjoy today is not just football competition. It is philosophy in motion. It answers a profound national question, but beyond trophy and medals, this tournament celebrates values. 1. Excellence on the pitch, discipline on the field, fair play in every moment.
With anticipation building ahead of the May 16th kickoff, stakeholders says the championship could become a vital pipeline for discovering Nigerians' future football heroes. Samuel Odi for Global Television News.
As News Prime comes to an end, here is a reminder of our top stories again. Brought to you that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved a fresh round of high-level appointments, naming Senator Dr. Ibrahim Ida as chairman of the Corporate Affairs Commission and nominating 7 new federal commissioners for the National Population Commission pending confirmation by the National Assembly. In business, the National Assembly has announced plans to hold a 2-day national policy dialogue aimed at strengthening Nigerians' planning and budgeting framework to drive sustainable economic growth and achieve a $1 trillion economy target. An Transparency in the new report has revealed contrasting governance outcomes in Sahel countries following recent military coup. And finally, in sports, we brought to you that Nigerian grassroots football development is set to receive a major boost as the inaugural Sam Okoraji Foundation Under-16 Secondary School Football Championship kicks off on May 16 to 26, 2026. And that's it on News Prime. Quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365. And Star Times channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen by using @Global TV NG. I am Jumai Manson. Thank you for watching.